Pause. Now you're live. What's up, nerd family? Welcome once again to the Poindexter Lounge. My name is Enosh, and that's it. Enosh. I'm Enosh. Enosh Fee. That's my name. Don't need a screen name. You can call me Enosh Fed if you want, but hey, that's a harken back to the day. You know what I mean? When the screen name was just Enosh Fed. But my name is Enosh, and I'm glad to be with you. And look, the Poindexter Lounge is... What is it, Austin? It's a place for nerds. It's a place where you and me and all of us can get together and talk about the things that we love. Things like TV shows, movies, games, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books, superheroes, toys, and so much more. If those are things that get you excited, if those are things that get your motor humming, get your wheel turning, then crack open a nice cold Dr. Pepper. Be a pepper along with me, and let's have some fun. Let's talk. Let's talk pop culture and nerd stuff. And you know what? Really anything else you want to talk. This is the drive home. And so I usually have a couple of topics. That's kind of how it's turned out, that I have a topic or two to go over on this little excursion of ours. And please feel free to drop me lines during the day as to what you guys would like to see on the drive home. Okay? So if during the day stories come out and you want me to cover it, you can find me on X. I know it's Twitter, whatever. You can find me on X, message me or whatever, or tag me in something, let me know, hey Nash, I'd love to see you talk about this on the show. And I will do that. You have a great chance of that getting on the show. So anyways, so I have not. That's one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, because I wanted to see if anybody else had. Have you seen Zack Snyder on the Joe Rogan Experience yet? What's up, Anchorman? I would love to hear kind of how that went a little bit. I still need to watch it, and I plan on watching it. But yeah, Zack Snyder went on the Joe Rogan Experience. I'm interested to hear what he's had to say. I haven't seen anybody really reporting on it yet that much. Maybe I've been at work. I've been at work all day, so I really haven't been online. But yeah, how was it? Like, is there anything that we didn't know that came out of it, or you know what? I don't know. But I'm interested in hearing that. So if you guys have seen it, please say something in the chat about it. And I finished it. It was really good. But I definitely have some things I'd love to talk about when you see it. Okay, for sure, man. For sure. I'd love that, dude. I'd love to break that down. That'd be awesome. But yeah, the first thing I wanted to talk about, because it's the story of the week, and as a Superman fan, I'm loving it, because I've been this is my soft, return to this is my soft return to streaming. And what better week to do it than a week that a bunch of Superman stuff comes out, right? It's Superman's birthday. Superman's birthday is typically celebrated on the 29th of February, so only every 4 years, but on top of that, we got the new reveal, the new movie started filming, all that stuff, and so I figured I would use this. That being said, Nicholas Hoult went on the Michael Rosenbaum podcast, was talking with Michael Rosenbaum, and I have said this for years. Yes, I get it. I love all things Superman. I mean, I love all the actors who played things. I think that I get it. Kevin Spacey has a horrible past and a bunch of stuff that he's having to deal with. But they wasted him as Lex Luthor, because he looked the part exactly of what you would need for the stereotypical businessman, multi-billionaire Lex Luthor. And it just wasn't there. It hurts. He said kryptonite. So Hoult went on the Michael Rosenbaum podcast, and obviously Michael Rosenbaum played Lex Luthor. I think it was a total of 7 years. But the show ran for 10, so his presence was there for that whole show. And I'm sorry, but Michael Rosenbaum, from start to finish, nailed that stuff. Wrong is the funniest quote, CJH. Yeah, and Austin, I'll get to. I'm sorry, you wrote a lot there, so it's gonna take me a minute. But no, you know what I'm saying? Like Michael Rosenbaum just nailed it. Every scene he was in, he commanded. He was in complete control. He blurred that line very, very well between is he trying to be Clark's friend? Or is he really going to be the villain? And I love it by the end of the show, he says, I am the villain of the story. Man. Whew. Michael Rosenbaum gives me chills every time I think about his portrayal of Lex Luthor. Now, look, I know, I get it. There's going to be all... I hate to do this, and you know what? I'm really going to stop measuring it by this because, look, you know what? My opinion is my opinion. I don't care what fandom I'm in or who I like or whatever. I love Jesse Eisenberg. I will defend Jesse Eisenberg's portrayal of Lex Luthor till the day that I die. Because all it tells me is when somebody doesn't understand his Lex Luthor, that they've never read the comics, because there's plenty of comic history and there's plenty of comic goodness to back up and support the exact kind of Lex Luthor that Jesse Eisenberg played. He was picked to play a specific role, and the thing is, if we would have seen it go on, if we would have seen his character emerge, we would have seen more of that just stereotypical, I think, of Lex Luthor. But I still have my own theories on this, and I've seen a bunch of people, like, there's a lot of Snyder fans that seem to really defend Eisenberg's representation by calling him Lex Luthor Jr. I don't know if that's where Zach was going with it necessarily. I did a video years ago about that very topic, about the idea that in the comics, Lex Luthor died. Lex Luthor Sr. died. And he cloned himself. And it was interesting because it was a long-haired red-haired guy, you know, named Alex Luthor, you know, who took over the company. But they showed him as like an Australian dude who, for the time, would have been like, you know, a businessman at the time, you know, or whatever. And that's all they did with this, is they showed a young version of Lex Luthor who would have would be more like today's type of CEO, right? Like a Mark Zuckerberg. Excuse me, like some of these guys who are just kind of nerdy guys who are in it. It makes total sense. Plus, it's already been in the comics. It's already been in the comics. Anthony Grigsby. Now there is a name. There's a name that I haven't heard in, oh yes, a good long time. My beard is getting such now that it's like, dang, I could probably pull off Obi-Wan. The sun is right in my face, so my face looks all red. Hey, you know what? And that's fine, man. If you don't like his Lex Luthor, it's fine. But like, I get it, because he was spot on for what it is, right? I mean, he was spot on for what it is. And there's plenty of comics that, like, you can see, like the comics that Jesse Eisenberg, I mean, looks exactly like what the comic book looked like. The long hair, the lab coat, you know, all that stuff, because people forget that Lex had a full head of hair, that Lex was actually a friend to Superman. That's one of the things I loved about Smallville, was that it showed that friendship, you know, because the original Superman comic books had him growing up around Lex, you know, and the whole nine yards. So I just always like to come from an educated point of view. And honestly, when it comes down to, and I think you guys have seen this by now, when it comes down to something, even if I don't like it, if I see that it's continuity, that it's there, I just go, okay, you know what? It may not be for me. Phone call, but I'm back now. Anyways, so Hoult was on with Jesse Eisenberg, which I think is really cool. Two Lex Luthors together, you know. I think that's really cool. But so hey, Ted Cleverly says, hey pals, how's it going? I'm smoking a new weed I bought. Oh, really? What's it called? Uh, I got a bad back and neck myself. Anyways, to see two Lex Luthors talking like that is pretty cool, right? And so it was brought up though, like what is Hoult's inspiration? What is it? And Nicholas Hoult talked about how he used to watch Michael Rosenbaum, right? That, I mean, that was his thing. It's actually, yeah, it's not just a patch. So it's actually a coat. It's an official Superman coat. I even have like you can see there the zippers, and even on the I don't have them fastened right now, but see, it's a DC coat right there. It's got Superman flying on the back with a big S. Yeah, man, I love this jacket. I love this jacket. I gave a Superman jacket to Anthony. Yeah, to ACS. When the last time he was here and visited me, I gave him a jacket that I have. I wonder if he still has it. I wonder if he kept it, and like it was getting too big on me. It was a 2X, and it was just getting too big on me. It was my favorite jacket though, man. It was so sweet. It was like that twill kind of material, and it was a racing jacket, and it had a big silver S on the back that took up the entire back, and it looked like rivets in it. It was silver. It was puffy and stuff. It was really cool. And I used to have a bomber jacket that was a black leather jacket that just had a big S on the back and had a very similar patch right here, but I never wore it. It was a bomber jacket. I didn't like the way that it fit. This was much better as far as a leather jacket and coat. And so, yeah, man. And the crazy thing is, I know that it's like whatever, but this coat literally has medium for the size. I know that that's wrong, but I mean, not wrong, but you know what I'm saying, right? So, like, it's one of those things like, medium, huh? I remember when I put it on for the first time, I was a little bit bigger than I am now, and it fit, and I went, whoa, wow, cool. That actually fits. But now my biggest problem is I've lost so much weight, guys, that like I need a new wardrobe. Everything is big on me now, so. But yeah, so back to Hoult. He talked about how he watched Michael Rosenbaum as a kid over in the UK, and that he loved Michael Rosenbaum, that he loved his interpretation of Lex Luthor, and that was kind of his inspiration for how he's going to portray Lex. And he went into detail. He went into detail about, you know, like the way that Michael Rosenbaum's character really conducted himself in the show. I'm sorry, but if you don't get excited about that, I don't know what to tell you, because Michael Rosenbaum, look, even if you're a Snyder fan and you like Jesse Eisenberg better, you gotta acknowledge Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor. You know, I mean, if that's his inspiration, that's a great place to start. Now, also what came out was James Gunn put on Instagram some more of his inspirations. And I know people are already like, they talked about that he likes, you know, the Christopher Reeve version of Superman. Yes, he does. So do I. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? I mean, integrity as a Superman fan, I know it sounds really daunting, right? Because it's 10 seasons. I get it. And listen, man, it's TV, and there's going to be times, especially in those first couple seasons, because it was like villain of the week kind of stuff, you know, on Smallville, because they were introducing the world. And so the whole premise is, this is not spoilers, this is just the premise, right, to set up the show, was that the meteor shower happens, Clark comes, but the meteor shower affects Smallville in negative ways, and it affects the people of Smallville in negative ways. So these kids grow up right alongside Clark, but a lot of them, they get exposed, people, not just kids, not just teenagers, but people in general start getting exposed to kryptonite, and they really don't know what kryptonite is, right? So it like affects people, and it causes them to become metahumans and stuff. And so, yeah, for a while, it seemed like there was like a monster of the week kind of, you know, deal going on. But it was Clark learning his powers. It gave Clark great chances to, discover new powers that he didn't have before. And, but he's in high school, right? And so it's kind of cool. Like this is, like I said, not spoilers. It's all in the first season. It's all in the first few episodes. So I feel like I'm just kind of whetting your appetite, because it gets much better as it goes on and develops. But like the cool things are like those cool little things that we would, as Superman fans, like, right? Like, how does he get his heat vision? How does he discover he has heat vision? He's in sex ed class. For a 15-year-old, that is awesome. That is awesome. That anytime he gets kind of like hot under the collar, and he gets a little turned on, the heat vision goes. So they bring that back because later, he's talking to Lana and he's getting hot under the collar and he kind of realized it, right? So like, that to me is cool. But Michael Rosenbaum just embodies Lex Luthor. You feel bad for him at first because his dad is there. Lionel Luthor is that. I almost said Enosh because Cherie just popped up. There's Enosh. Lionel Luthor is there, and Lionel is the father Luthor, right? He is the one that is very controlling of his son, has put Lex down, has treated Lex in horrible ways his whole entire life. And then it's Lex coming of age. A lot of interesting stuff happens over that 10 years, Integrity. Let me tell you, a lot of it. But I would stick with it because it's good. Like the special effects aren't always great, right? I'll be honest with you. I mean, the finale, the character shows up, very important character. That part is not so great. But you're right, Kaden. Oh, Luthor. Whew. Dang. Right? Yeah. Yes, he came back for the series finale. It is definitely worth watching, Integrity. I didn't know that you had never watched Smallville. I didn't realize that. Maybe you said that before, but it's been a while, obviously. You know what I mean? So it's definitely something that as a Superman fan, I think that everyone should watch. Dude, they bring in everybody. Now, look, there's some things you're going to have to excuse a Superman fan that might get on your nerves, like the fact that he's Clark Kent, and yet he fights or encounters every villain and almost every superhero that you could possibly imagine. But it's okay, including Doomsday. But even the way that they finished that, I'm kind of okay with. How dare you not keep up with everything I watch? What does it say? I know, man. I know. Just blame me, bro. Anchorman, they did not have Batman, but Bruce Wayne is mentioned. And here's the great part. Once you finish Smallville, the show, dude, there is Smallville season 11 in comic book form, where they do introduce Batman, where they do introduce Wonder Woman, where they do introduce the rest of the DC world, and him as Superman in it. So yeah, definitely worth watching. Because his Lex Luthor, like I said, by far, if anybody asks me who's the best Lex Luthor, it's just Michael Rosenbaum. It's just Michael Rosenbaum. To me, there's no arguing about it. He played the character for the longest. You can tell that he understood the character the most because he played it the longest. I know people will say Gene Hackman. Anybody who says Gene Hackman is the best Lex Luthor is just saying that because he was in that first movie. I'm sorry, but nothing about what Gene Hackman did said Lex Luthor. It just didn't. It just didn't scream Lex Luthor at all. It was, he refused to wear a bald cap. He refused to shave his head. We get kind of a scene where once, or whatever, he's kind of got a bald cap on, but you know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't want to put in the work for it. He didn't want to be that Lex Luthor. And that's very unfortunate, Now, they did a great job at telling the story, and I think Integrity, you could probably agree, by, putting stuff around, like when they show the wigs, for example, right? So, yeah, that's the thing. It's like Gene was not... He was supposed to be playing this straight man to Otis and Miss Tussmacher and stuff, but a lot of times, even he had silly stuff going on, and so that's fine. I love him as Lex Luthor, but is that the quintessential Lex Luthor for me? Absolutely not, because that's not really Lex Luthor. That's not his character, right? It's the same thing that I say about Christopher Reeve in there when he plays Clark. That's not really Clark. That's a version of Clark Kent, but Clark Kent has never been this bumbling idiot. There was never a thing of you had to portray him as that until those movies. You know, he's mild-mannered, yes, mild-mannered Clark Kent, but not like bumbling, falling all over himself, you know, dork. You know what I mean? Like, I always felt like in the Superman movies that really brought more attention to him than if yes, I just confirmed. I love you, Integrity. I miss you, man. I miss you. Yeah, Cherie, if you like that, we'll see. Here comes brings up another great point, because one of James Gunn's inspirations is the animated series. And that's great too, because the animated series for a lot of people is the quintessential thing that for them, that is Superman. I like it. I don't love it. It's not something that, like, I'm actually getting ready to rewatch it with Shayna, because Shayna wants to watch the entire DC animated universe. She's just that way. She cracks me up, guys. She loves watching all of something. Like, she watched all of Star Wars before her and I ever got together. She watched all of Star Wars in chronological order, like from start to finish. And she wants to do that with, like, starting with, like, Batman the Animated Series, you know, because I kind of filled her in. You know, she's like, I've always wanted to watch this and that, you know, and, like, she wants to watch all the stuff. Like, she wants to like, maybe we should do watch parties of the stuff. I don't know, man. Just take, like, whole days to watch stuff, because she really wants to jump in and like learn all that stuff, right? And I think that that's really cool. And it's been so long since I've actually watched, like, Batman the Animated Series and Superman the Animated Series, for that matter. So, you know, and Justice League and all that stuff that goes with it, you know, in the Bruce Timm universe. And so I like Batman the Animated Series. Of course I like Batman the Animated Series, man. Of course I do. I mean, I was, what, when that came out, I was 13 or 14, you know? Yeah, man, I was there day one. So, yeah, so the animated series is cool as far as Superman goes. It's just not my favorite, you know? Like, I get it. I like it. I'll be honest with you. You know what bugs me about the entire Bruce Timm universe? I'll just say this. I don't think I've ever actually just said this. It has nothing to do with the writing. It has nothing to do with the stories, because the stories are great. The presentation was great. Sometimes he's a little homogenized in the animated series. Like, he's a little too goody-goody, you know? I felt like they kind of portrayed him too much that way and not enough of some of the real Clark stuff. We don't get really any real Clark stuff. It is Superman. And I'm fine with that for an interpretation, but Clark is the real person, hands down. Has been in the comics for 40 years. Clark is the person. Superman is the uniform, you know? And I don't see them really portraying that as well in the animated series. You know, Lois never finds out that Clark is Superman. You know, so it's like a lot of those stories. It deals with a lot of stories with the villains and maybe with Superman, but not so much with those, right, really meaty things, right? So, but I do like it, and so that's fine. So I get it when people say that they like, you know, like Cherie just said that she enjoys what's his name's interpretation in the animated series. That's fine, dude. So you bring up All-Star Superman, and I want to say this, because from the moment that I discovered All-Star Superman, I was in love. I never read All-Star Superman. I watched the movie first, and then I had to go back and reread All-Star Superman. Guys, the fact that one of the inspirations for James Gunn's Superman is All-Star Superman, what is the story? For all those decrying James Gunn and everything, doesn't this just interest you a little bit to know that he's pulling some stuff from Kingdom Come? He's pulling some stuff possibly from All-Star Superman, the animated series. You got Nicholas Hoult saying that he's taking from Michael Rosenbaum his inspiration for his Lex Luthor. Also this week, James Gunn revealed on Instagram different panels from different things. So he showed something from the Mad Scientist, you know, from the 1940s Superman. Showed also Superman from some of the newer stuff. But you know what I really love, and I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. all these people talking about how, you know, like, oh, well, it's just going to be, you know, saving little cats and trees and stuff. Can I just say something? Yes, that's something Superman should be doing as well. See, this is what people don't get about Superman. This is the one thing that I wish Snyder fans, the people, because I've said it, I appreciate all of you who came into Superman fandom through Zack Snyder. I get it. I love it because Zack portrayed the Superman that I always wanted to see. So I get it because I know who Superman is, and yet, in all these different incarnations, yet I still, man, I have that reaction to Man of Steel because that's the Superman that's been in the comics. That's the Superman that I grew up reading and loving. But can I just say, like, unfortunately, people came into the fandom, but they don't understand who Superman is. Like, they didn't learn anything about Superman outside of Zack Snyder's movies. And I think you're doing yourself a disservice, and I think you're doing the character a disservice, because yeah, I don't want to see cheesy Superman. I don't want to see just Superman just doing a bunch of cheesy stuff and, you know, just acting like a goody-goody, and he always does the right thing just because he has no inner turmoil, he has no inner struggle, you know, he's just good just for the sake of being good. I don't want to see that. But when I see people, you know, making fun of Superman 78 because Superman saves a cat in a tree, and people say, well, that's not, you know, a Superman thing for, you know, that's not a need for Superman to do. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's absolutely something Superman should do. And Superman would do. You see, Superman's all about those little things. Superman is all about the relationships, the one-on-ones. And so if Superman saw a little girl calling for her cat up a tree and he wouldn't come down, Superman would absolutely fly down and save the cat. Because it's not really just about the cat, right? It's about the person, right? Find the whole rescuing cats thing stupid. Triton, this is my point. This is my point. And maybe this is you. And you know I love you, so I'm not like trying to single you out, and I'm not trying to call you out on the carpet. But you're the one who made the comment. Triton just made a comment that he feels that that's the entire point. Yes, he has godlike powers. Yes, he is the most powerful of all the superheroes. But he's the one who cares enough to save a cat. And that's why you show that. That's why you show that. Because he's not a god. He doesn't have a god mentality. He doesn't have this like, I'm better than other people, or that's beneath me mentality. Superman doesn't find anybody beneath him. That's the whole point of Superman. Right? Like, that's the point. And that's what I'm trying to communicate, Triton, is that it's not beneath him. It's absolutely not beneath him. It's something. Now, should every scene just be Superman doing nothing but saving cats and doing mundane things? No. But if you have a montage of Superman doing some things that Superman would do, saving cats, sure, why not have him save a cat in a tree? But what I really love is James Gunn posted on Instagram a picture from All-Star Superman where Superman goes and talks to the kid who's up on the roof and he's gonna jump, and Superman is there. Superman is there to talk that person down from the ledge. That's what Superman does. That's who Superman is. Superman is not about all the powers. I've often said this. I am a Superman fan not because Superman can fly, not because Superman has all these powers. You know what made me fall in love with Superman when I was a kid? It was none of those things. I didn't have my dad. I didn't grow up with my dad. I did not play catch with my dad until I was 35 years old. I didn't have a real conversation with my dad until I was like 27 years old. Okay? So I grew up looking for male role models, and Superman was one. And you know what I loved about Superman? It was not, yeah, I mean, I loved as a kid that he could fly and he had powers and stuff. And I'd, put a towel around my grandma would pin a towel around my neck, and I'd fly around acting like I was flying through the house and stuff. But that's not what I loved about Superman. I played catch, just not with my dad until I was 35, because I didn't grow up with my dad. But I've got video of me playing catch with my dad at 35, right? So here's the thing, though. Growing up with Superman in my life, I always looked at Superman as this like ultimate male role model. Not because he was cool, not because he had superpowers, but you know what always stood out to me as a kid? Superman cared. I remember watching Superman 78 as a kid and watching Superman react when Lois died. And it's interesting to me because, man, he's so angry. Which look, I'll give it. You guys know I will give it to both sides if I think that somebody's got the wrong interpretation of something. For those who attack Snyder fans on that same premise, that's BS. It's absolute BS, because you know what? Christopher Reeve had a lot of scenes where he is angry and he ain't smiling, and he actually takes a lot into his own hands that probably he shouldn't, like abusing his power, like going back in time to save one person. Because, like, let's be honest, he goes back to save Lois. What about all the other people that died? Because a lot of people died in that earthquake, right? Where was his mind? Like, the elders are literally saying it is forbidden, and he does it anyways. So I'm fair when it comes to that stuff. But man, Superman cared. Lois could be like somewhere way off somewhere, man, and like if she needed help, Superman was there. Jimmy, he didn't have it in the movies, but he gave Jimmy the signal watch, and people say, that's silly, a signal watch, that's so it's a comic book. It's a comic book for kids. If Superman is not for kids, I don't know who is for kids. Now, does that mean he always has to be portrayed childlike and just to the lowest, common? No, that's not what that means. I'm just saying, let's be reasonable and not act like Superman always has to be super angry or super upset either, And so that's because this is who Superman is, folks. And I'm getting ready to pull into a parking lot, so I'll be able to see some of you guys' comments now. But you know what I mean? Like, that's who Superman is. And as much as I love Zack Snyder and I love his interpretation of Superman the most, it's not the only one. And we're doing ourselves a disservice. You're doing the character of Superman a disservice if you never look into who the character is besides a movie or two. That's not going to give you a good snapshot. And plus, Triton, I would tell you this, and any other fan of Snyder, I would tell you it's important for you to educate yourself on the other ones and learn to appreciate them, because it's all who the character is. We're all this way. We are right. Integrity. The Boy Scout narrative has been greatly exaggerated, right? And thank you, Eric. Eric says, Enosh, I love your passion and how well you explain what Superman is. It is funny hearing Jarbo's take on Superman. He enjoys him, but is very critical. Well, of course he is. Like, Matt and I get along. By the way, Matt, what's up? Matt posted a couple of weeks ago, that he was glad that I was doing okay. I appreciate that. But I think you're wrong when it comes to Superman. And honestly, anybody who just like goes off on Superman, I really feel like they don't have a good grasp of who Superman is. Like, they get, like, somebody like Matt, for example. Matt obviously understands movies, right? Matt's been doing this a long time. Matt understands film. He likes films, like, that's his thing. But in the same token, it doesn't mean that he's necessarily going to get the character just using the same reasoning that he does with other things. Some things just don't click. You can know all the stuff, but yet it not click with you that, like, this is why this character is this way, and this is why the character needs to be this way. Right? And if you don't like Superman, you just don't like Superman, but you can't blame Superman for that. Does that make sense? Like, He is who he is. If you don't like him, you just don't like him. It doesn't mean he's an uninteresting character, because many writers have already proven that you can write for Superman. You can make Superman an interesting character. What needs to happen, though, is the gatekeepers who want to act like Superman can only be one thing. And that means the people who would say Christopher Reeve can be the only Superman. Nope, he can't. He's not supposed to be just one thing. Anybody who says Henry Cavill's Superman can be the only Superman. No. There's not just one version. That's what makes him a great character. That's why when everybody's complaining right now about the Kingdom Come logo and, you know, like, what is this thing? And like I said, this is taken from a lot of different places. We've established Kingdom Come. We've established All-Star Superman. 2 of the greatest comic book stories ever told, and that's his inspiration. And people are like, oh, this is gonna flop. I hope it flops. I hope it sinks. I hope nobody ever watches it. This could literally be the best Superman thing we've ever seen, because it's drawing from important stories. Why you would want to kill that before you even see it or know what it's about, I don't know. But on top of that, Superman the Animated Series. So far right there, with those 3 things right there, All-Star Superman, Kingdom Come, the Animated Series, Smallville, Superman 78, the Fleischer cartoons. Those are, oh yeah, and Superman for all seasons, yes. So, okay, now Derpy, I understand, like, I get, but here's the thing. Zack Snyder knows comics, man. You know, this is where I will be fair, right? I'm just going to be fair. Zack Snyder knows comics. He knows all those things, man. It's just not the story he told. Right? But Triton, it's not. See, here's the problem. Is Batman has been allowed to do that, though. Okay? The problem is that people have a preconceived notion of Superman. And whatever that is in their head, they act like, I don't know why this is, but I've encountered it enough now I'm giving you the raw data, and that is, with Superman, it's really, really weird. Superman is not like a Batman. Superman is not like any other character that you could just say you like. Like, if you say you like Superman, people will try to tell you why you shouldn't like Superman. You know? Yet, people like Superman. People love Superman. So, you know, I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's people out there who just hate Superman. They don't like it. They don't want to read it. They don't want to know anything about it. But the thing is that, like, when you really get to know the character can be written well. The character doesn't have to be a goody-goody that's just perfect. That's what I love about Man of Steel. In Zack's version, is he's a real human being, because that's who he should be, and that's who he's been written as in the comics for 40 years, or at least 30 years. So, you know what I mean? It's just, it gets, right. Superman is a moral code. See, that's where, okay, Triton, I'm just going to reference you again because of our conversation earlier. But yeah, so the thing is that Superman has all these godlike powers, right? But Superman is a farm boy. That's who Superman is. Superman is a boy who grew up in Kansas on a farm with his mom and dad. And yeah, he's got those powers and everything, but that's not what dictates his moral compass. So yeah, that Superman would absolutely save a cat in a tree. You get it? But the thing is, Batman has been allowed to do whatever Batman wants to do because Batman was cool, right? And people already had a preconceived notion of Batman being cool. Once the '89 Batman came out, I know people want to discredit, you know, Michael Keaton for some reason. But that movie showed everybody that Batman could be cool. And I'm sorry, but anybody who wasn't around for, you know, Let's see what time. Okay, I guess I still got time. Anybody who wasn't around for the summer of Batman, and really the year of Batman '89 was, you just don't have a concept of what it is. You can watch videos of it, but you'll never know what it was to actually be a part of Batmania. You know, I mean, Batmania was more than I've ever seen for any other thing. I mean, that summer was so crazy. We think of the MCU as being, you know, these big events and stuff like that, but that movie was such a big event. Everybody was focused on Batman. I mean, you couldn't find Batman t-shirts. I remember I couldn't find just a regular black Batman t-shirt. Me too, Integrity. I couldn't find a black. I had to get a teal Batman shirt. So I got the logo, but it had to be a teal shirt. You know? So there was that. And then Batman started getting cheesy. But then, you know, but Batman seems to always do a good job of course correcting. You know, we got Nolan's Batman and stuff, and we've gotten really good versions of Batman. I mean, even people who complain about Ben Affleck's version have now kind of had to admit, yeah, you know what, he's coming around. Like he is very much the comic book version. I just had a conversation with somebody the other day online. Had nothing to do with Poindexter Lounge, just random person on a Facebook post. And we were talking about, you know, that because he doesn't like Ben Affleck. But he had to admit that Ben Affleck's version was comic accurate. The problem is that we've gotten a lot of weird Superman stuff over the years. A lot of changes to stuff. I mean, like even Integrity and I are talking about, as much as Superman 78 is beloved, it takes liberties, right? They took their own liberties. I mean, and there's just weird stuff in there. There's all kinds of this Silver Age stuff that's in there. Like for example, something like ripping your, you know, with the cellophane S in Superman 2, that's such a thing that would happen in the Silver Age, right? You know what I mean? So that kind of stuff that made no sense. But it's okay, because I love it still. I love it still. It's Superman. You got to learn to have fun with stuff, you know? And so, look, man, if James Gunn is drawing from all those plates, I agree, Triton. I personally agree. Look, I'm wearing the Batman hat right now, but really it's just because it looks cool, to be honest with you. The movie is not my my favorite. I've watched it, you know, a few times now. I never bought it on, you know, I never bought physical media for it. Just didn't do much for me, but I still like it. I still want to see part 2, you know. And I like the logo. I think the logo is pretty chill. I like the logo. And this hat's kind of weird though, because like, look, it's got Batman on it, which is pretty sweet. And you know what? I don't mind the outfit. I don't mind the costume, except for the cowl. The cowl and the collar does it for me. But look at that. Isn't that weird? It's orange underneath. It's red, but orange. I don't know if you guys can see that and where you guys are, but that's that. So look, I'm also realizing something. You know, the DCU is going to be more it's going to be more like the comic book world. My fan cast for DCU Batman, I'll tell you who it's definitely not, is what's his name that everybody wants it to be, who was on Supernatural. I don't see that one at all. I don't get it. I've never seen him as being Eccles. Yeah, Jensen Ackles. Yeah, I don't see him as Batman. I see all this fan casting for him that everybody wants him to be Batman. If this is a Brave and the Bold Batman, I don't see him being old enough, maybe. Now, Austin, that's exactly what I was gonna say, bro. Yes, Alan Richardson. That dude. Can you imagine him being Batman? First of all, he's huge. He's huge. He's already played 2 DC characters. He's already played Hawk, and he's played Aquaman. But Yeah, integrity, and that's the thing with me too, man, with Superman Legacy. I mean, now it's just Superman, right? But I'm gonna go watch it. I'm gonna give it a chance. Like, if it's bad, I will say it, right? If it's bad, I will say it. But I'm gonna give it a chance. I don't see the reason to hate it just to hate it. Yes, Alan Richardson was Aquaman on Smallville. I've got that action figure. Cherie says, I want a newbie. You know what? I literally saw Snyder fans yesterday complaining and saying that David Cornsweet is going to suck because he's an unknown. They forget that Henry Cavill was an unknown. People don't understand what what unknown means. Like, Hoult has been in a couple of things, Hoult has been in bigger things, but Cornsweet's been in a couple of things, But Henry Cavill, what was Henry Cavill like? Anchorman, get out of here. Army Hammer. He was Batman at one point. Army Hammer was hired to be Batman in Justice League Mortal, but they let him go. But yeah, you know what? Richardson is the one that I would want to see. That would be my fan cast at this point. Plus, he's a really great guy. That guy right there, he's a Christian, he's a believer, and he actually has a YouTube channel. Hey, you know what, Triton, I'm sorry, I was going to come back to your comment. I don't care about gun stuff, I just don't care. Triton, that's fine, man. You know what, do you, bro? You know what I mean? Do you, man? It's all good. But you did say something, where was it? It was about your stuff that you sent me, the Injustice stuff. What'd you think of my custom Trinity of Injustice 2? I'm that guy on Messenger. So, yes. So Triton sent me some stuff. Dude, that looked great, man. That was sweet. Absolutely, I love that. Right, integrity. That's what I'm saying, too. I'm just less and less about hating on stuff and more just about, hey, you know what? Let's give stuff a chance. Oh, you know what? I went to the wrong restaurant. I just realized I went to the wrong restaurant. It's because I'm talking to you guys. Went to Applebee's, just the wrong one. Fortunately, the right one is just down the street. See what you got me doing now? Nah, I'm just kidding. But like what you like, Nobody feel like they're forced to like something. But where he talks about his faith, and he actually brought up something that I thought was really cool that I talked about with somebody else, because I was in a musical. Somebody was giving me a hard time about like some stuff that was in the musical stuff, and I'm acting because I'm a pastor or whatever, and it was nothing dirty, it was nothing like that. What it was the promotional thing for the musical. The poster had I played a crazy cat. For those of you guys who didn't see that last summer, I played this cat. Shayna was actually in it. She was my owner, and it's set in San Francisco, and so I, as the cat, I tried to like dismantle every one of her relationships, right? Every time she goes out on a date or has a guy come over or whatever, like I try to sabotage it and everything. And it's a comedy. It's really funny. But I say that because the poster had a cat on it. There's like all disheveled and kind of showing that this cat was evil, but like really tiny. It had 666 across the forehead. People started asking me about that, and I was like, you know what? No, it's not. Even Landon asked me about that, and I was like, you know what? No, it's. First of all, I didn't even see it. It was so small and just kind of written in there. But it's like, no, it's not about that, But Alan Richardson did a whole video about how like people give him a hard time about playing Reacher because of like the character and stuff and the violence and the stuff, And he was just talking about how, look, man, I'm playing a part, like every character that is on TV or in a movie or whatever, can't be a good guy. If you show a bad guy, they got to be doing bad stuff, right? It's called acting for a reason. So yes, so I would love to see that actually. I'm looking forward to it. The more I see, the more I am. Oh, Anchorman, I'm not mad at you. I was just teasing you, bro. You were funny. That was funny what you said. I wasn't prepared for that. That was pretty funny. That's why I say get out of here with that. That's kind of silly. But yeah, so I'm really excited about Hoult saying what he said about Lex. I'm excited about these places that these different versions and these different things that James Gunn is supposedly pulling from. All I gotta say is just wait, just wait till it comes out, and then let's judge it. Then let's figure out, is it good? Then we can talk about the writing. People are already talking about the writing, and it makes no sense. You haven't read it, and I'm sorry, just all this ridiculousness of making fun of the costume, posting pictures of the costume, the fake pictures of the costume. Today I saw one of the actual serious studio, I think it was actually from Entertainment Weekly, cast photo of all of Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, right? And then they put that next to the screenshot of Hoult and Corin Sweat and what's her name, who's playing Lois. Anyways, the three of them with that TikTok video that they did, just sitting there, just being silly and having fun. Took the screenshot of that and compared it to the professional staged photo for Man of Steel, which some of that was probably photoshopped together, because a lot of those have been, where they they don't get all the actors all in one place. They put them all in there. So can we just stop? Yes, Eric, I hear you, man. I hear you. And then they're like, well, James is always doing these fart jokes, and he's the dick jokes and the blah 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 and the blah blah blah. I don't want to see that in Superman. Did you watch? I know he didn't direct it, but he produced it, and it's kind of his project was Brightburn. Brightburn is awesome. Brightburn is super serious, super creepy, and just fantastic. So I don't know what to tell you, right? Brightburn is fantastic. So yeah. So like I said, as we do these, make sure that throughout the day, if something pops up and you want to hear me talk about it on the drive home, that's what this show is for. All right, and this is our kind of leaning back into getting back into streaming and stuff like that, right? But Derpy, I agree. I think that in the end, it's going to be okay. I would just like to see people chill. I would just like to see people not hate on something just to hate on it. Give it a minute, give it some time. Let's actually see a costume reveal. We haven't even had a costume reveal yet on Superman. Triton says, as much as I can't stand Gunn, I don't care about his DCU. I'll openly admit that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 slaps hard. It's not at all what I want from DC, but still, hey, you know what, man? I can appreciate that. I didn't even know who Guardians of the Galaxy was before that movie, and I love that movie. It's my favorite of the Guardians movies. I even like Part 2, but Part 3, I gotta see Part 3 again. I went to see it at the theater and I fell asleep, to be quite honest with you. It was not, it looked to me like it was on a set. I get it, it was shot during COVID. It looked very claustrophobic. It didn't look like an open world, So I'm gonna say it how it is, how I feel. But yeah, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. The first one, it's fantastic. Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was meh. It was there, but it was okay. But then Part 3, it had all these good things in it. It just, I don't know, the presentation wasn't always there for me in Part 3. At least to keep me interested, right? I need to rewatch it. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to see what they have. But can we just wait and see? You know, can we just do like we used to do, where a movie came out, you went and watched it. If it was a character that you liked, right? You liked it, and so you're like, I'll Superman. Triton. See, this is why you and I get along, buddy. I loved Eternals, which I thought was hilarious because I didn't think I was going to like Eternals at all, because I knew nothing about Eternals. Nothing. But I love that movie. So, there you go. Anyways, that's about all I got right now. I got to meet somebody to talk about our Easter service for my church coming up. But hey, it's been good spending some time with you guys. I hope that you all have a wonderful evening. I hope that y'all keep nerding it out wherever you are. And like I said, during the days, if something comes up that you want to see me talk about, you want to talk about with me, message me on social media. Let me know, all right? And hopefully by the time I'm on the drive home, we can talk about it, all right? Love you all. Thank you guys for being good friends and for being here. All right. Love y'all. Remember, like I always say, don't let anybody tell you that your fandom doesn't matter. And don't tell anybody that theirs doesn't matter. But seek to have good conversations. Seek to have good conversations and treat people with respect. And if you do that, there'll always be a place for you here in the Poindexter Lounge. Until next time, stay nerdy. Bye-bye.